Attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Melissa Sweat, Customer Relationship and Community Manager at People on the Go, and I'll be moderating our session today. Before we get started, let's just do a quick check to make sure that you can hear me just fine and see the screen. Go ahead and locate that questions panel and go to webinar and just type in a brief note letting me know that all is okay. Awesome. Thank you, Liz, Dana, Shima, Jill, Andrea, Ruby. Awesome. Thank you so much, and thank you for joining. So you are here for how to attain the 5 pillars of mindfulness at work with Hello Mindful. .me, our app. And I have with us, of course, our founder and CEO, Pierre Kawand.
Hello. Hi, Melissa. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is a very exciting time, and we're very much looking forward to sharing with you the latest developments with the mindfulness at work and also the Hello Mindful Me app.
Yes, definitely. There are a lot of exciting things to share with you today. A lot of great updates in this latest upgrade of the app. But here is our agenda for today's session. So we will be talking about the Mindfulness at Work update. We're going to be taking an in-depth look at mindfulness at work and what that means, and showing you how that applies, of course, to the app and how the app can get you there. We're also going to share with you how you can get the app right now if you happen to not have it. And also, we're going to share with you about the Mindfulness at Work workshop taking place this summer and the certification program. So stay tuned for that as well. And so now for the 5 pillars. So for each of these, we're going to talk about what it is, the concept behind it, and then show you, of course, how the app covers this pillar.
And Melissa, before we start, there is one feature that can't wait. So I must demonstrate this right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, if you can give me the screen, I'll do that first, and then we'll go to the 5 pillars and talk about each one as you mentioned.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm going to make you the presenter.
Okay. Show my screen. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen now. And so here is the app, and the feature that I'm really excited about that I want to show you is this. So basically, when I start to work on a task, let's say I'm starting to work on my research paper, and as soon as I start to work on it, this light, this status light becomes red, which indicates that I'm focused. And now other people who are collaborating with me, they will see that my status is red. So they're likely to not interrupt me when I'm focused. And if they have something important and something they want to put in my queue, they can go ahead and post a note where they put what is it they need, how urgent that is, how they prefer to be replied to, and maybe a little bit about what that issue is. And when they put this, that becomes part of my queue. So I can quickly, when I finish my focus 15 minutes, I can quickly go there and check in on those people first. So I'm going to tell you a lot more about this little later. This is one of our pillars, which is working mindfully with others. But I just thought I'll mention this to you first because it's new. We haven't talked about it before. Just want to make sure you all know about it.
Yes, I really love this addition to the app, and it's such a valuable addition to the mindfulness at work concept. So now back to our pillars. So starting out, what exactly do you mean by starting your day mindfully? What does that mean, and how does it apply to the app?
Yeah, so starting the day mindfully is the first pillar and a really important pillar. So it is about stopping and taking just a mindful moment to ask that question, what is important? What do I want to accomplish today?
Mhm.
And we need to do this in writing. This should take just like a minute or two. And this, without looking at email or calendar or to-do lists, it's just letting our intuition guide us. So in the app, you go to the today page, and that's where you do this little mindful exercise. So you think, what is it that I want to accomplish today? What is important? What do I want to accomplish? And then you just come up with a short list of a few items that if you were to accomplish, you would feel good, you would feel closer to your goals. And that's what you would put here. So I'm going to do the budget today. I'd like to get that proposal underway. And I also want to get an agreement among the team on the launch plan. So this is what I want to accomplish today. So this mindful moment at the beginning of the day is likely to shape our day. This is the best to-do list ever. It's fresh, it's applicable, it's intuitive, as opposed to drowning in those stale to-do lists and spending so much time trying to sort them and reorganize them and go to them. So this is a whole different philosophy on how we work. So yeah, that's the first pillar.
Great. Yeah. So now for the second pillar, so having a place to capture things, and in terms of what we're talking about, these things are your thoughts, your emotions, and sensations. So can you talk about that with the app here?
Yeah, so having a place to capture things is another important part of the app. So this is the capture page. And one of the common thoughts that tend to come up and that need to be captured are thoughts about things to do. So you'll be working on an important task, but then you start to think, oh, and I need to email Joan, and I need to do this, and I need to do that. And then unfortunately, most of the time when these thoughts come up, we just go along with them. We interrupt what we're doing and we start to email Joan or do whatever comes up. So we're almost like driven by these random thoughts. And that's exactly what we want to change and what this capture page is for. So if I have this thought suddenly that I need to email Joan, instead of jumping into it, interrupting my current focus, I'm just going to quickly add it right here. So email Joan the new pricing info, and then go back within a few seconds and stay focused and deep into what I'm doing. So yeah, and I think as you mentioned earlier, Melissa, so there's more to be captured. There are feelings, there are sensations. We're not going to get into all those details right now, but those of you who are familiar with the perfect 15-minute day method, you already know how to do this, and there's a lot more about this in the book and other resources.
Great, great. Love that. And now for the third pillar, this is really a big one and kind of a big task or challenge. So it's working mindfully every moment of the day.
Yeah, so and I know exactly why Melissa is saying this is a big one, because the most important thing is, what are you doing right now? It's not what you're going to do 6 months from now or next week or even later today. It's what are you doing right now? So therefore, taking a mindful moment to decide what you're going to do and putting it in writing is key. It's the foundation for leading a much happier and more fulfilled work life, actually. And then, of course, being aware of time and being mindful how you're spending your time instead of getting carried away with things. So let me show you how the app can support this. So let's say I take that mindful moment to decide what is it I'm going to do right now, and I decide to start to work on this budget. So I'm going to get that started. So that puts it in the now page and gives me that 15-minute increment. And now I know exactly what I'm working on. I'm aware of time, and I can be much more focused than otherwise. And let's just give you a few examples to show you how this will evolve. So let's say I'm done with this task within the 15-minute time frame. If so, I'm going to check it off and take that mindful moment to acknowledge my accomplishment and feel a little bit of fulfilled, which is a really important part of this method, because typically what happens, we just do one thing after the next, and we're pretty much driven by our random thoughts to some degree, or by what comes up and lands in front of us. And we finish the day not feeling any fulfillment. So we really want to reverse this. We want to have these stops throughout the day and acknowledging that feeling of having done something, having completed something, and the effort that went into it. So now let's say after this task, I decided to take on the proposal. So I go ahead and start to work on the proposal. But let's say I got interrupted by a really urgent issue that requires my immediate attention, that cannot be postponed. So I'm going to note here, I'm going to press the switch button, which indicates that I didn't complete this task and that I had to switch from it. And then I can take on the more urgent issue, which let's say is a client issue that came up. And then I would start to work on this client issue. Now, what I'd like to share with you is another page that's really important, which is the log page. So in the log page, I can see what I'm working on right now, but also all the pending items that still require my attention. So it's very easy for me to see the things that aren't complete, that still require some kind of completion. And also the log page is another mindful page to allow me at different points in time to check, where am I spending my time? Should I be spending my time in these areas? And anything else I can learn from this. So yeah, the now page and the log, they're really about working mindfully throughout our day.
Great. And now on to the next pillar, which happens to be one of my favorites, which is, and very essential, taking mindful breaks. That's the next pillar here.
Yeah, so mindful breaks. By the way, what kind of mindful breaks do you take, Melissa?
The mindful breaks that I tend to enjoy are going outside briefly for a bit of, fresh air and
Huh.
sunshine, if it's sunny, or even just doing like a simple breathing a break, or
Yeah,
sometimes some stretches are really good too.
yeah, that's very cool. So Melissa, what she can do, she can go to mindful breaks, which I think she probably have done this already because she's been using the app, and add her mindful breaks to the list. So it could be whatever she wants them to be. It could be that, yoga, stretching, or breathing, or whatever the exercise, how long she typically spends on this, and even set a reminder for herself, like after the task or at the different 15-minute intervals or whatever appeals to her. And then that becomes part of what she does. And when she wants to take one of these, she just will start it, and then it goes into the now page with the time she specified. And then the other nice thing about it is, let's just finish it. In the log, it is part of what appears in the log. So you can look at the end of the day and ask yourself that very important question: are you taking care of yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Are you getting refreshed? Are you stopping and giving yourself the chance to recover? Studies have shown that even 5 minutes of a mindful practice, which is what we're hoping many of these mindful breaks be, can get us to calm down, feel refreshed, and be able to refocus. And actually, many of our workshop participants, they say they get there even with 2 or 3 minutes. So it doesn't take a long to kind of calm down a little bit and get that break going. And that's why we have that so emphasized in the app.
So true. Love that. And so now back to what we were talking about at the very start, which is collaborating mindfully. And you showed us a little bit about that, Pierre, at the start, but could you show us a bit more?
Yeah, so that's the one I mentioned very early on. It's exciting, and I wanted to at least give you that quick little overview. So let's talk about it in more detail. So let's say I'm going to take on um, this important task. So, and not all tasks have to start from the today page, because many things happen unexpectedly and we find ourselves having to work on them. So anytime you're starting to work on a task, that's when you would come here. If it's not in the today page, you would just come here and go ahead and get it started. So let's say in this case, I'm gonna work on these planning this team meeting. And as soon as I get started, my status goes to focused. So this is the red sign. And my other team members who are collaborating with me, let's take in this case, Joan as an example. So Joan is going to see that I'm focused. So if Joan really needs something from me, instead of coming and interrupting me or coming and asking, are you available, which is already an interruption, she would be more mindful of this, of my focus time. And she would either wait until I'm available, or she would put herself in my queue by adding a note to reserve her spot in my queue and to tell me what this is about. So this is maybe about getting input on the report format that she's working on. And the urgency is high because she is working on it right now. And she prefers this to be an in-person chat. She could put here maybe a video call. She could put an email. Maybe it's something that she would just email me about, but she wants my answer as soon as possible, or whatever format she wants. And then the details go here. And then she would send this. And let me see, what did I get here? Missing field. Okay, so let me put here a more detailed note. And then she would send this. And now I'm going to see that there is somebody in my queue. So this is like having a queue of people waiting for you at your door. And then I may have 2 or 3 here accumulate, but that's fine. They all know that I'm focused, and they all have chosen to be mindful of my focus time, because it is the kind of team communication and culture that we want teams to start to think about. It's like, how can we help each other and respect each other's focus time, but yet stay connected and stay responsive. So this is the method to do this. So when I'm done with my focus session, the first thing I would do before I go to email or to the calendar, to anything else, in order to respect their requests and reciprocate, because they already took my focus time into account and did not interrupt me, so they deserve my attention first. So I'm going to go to my queue. I click here. I see the 2 or 3 people waiting for me, and I can check in and see exactly what they want. And then I may get in touch with Joan in person. I can go talk to her, especially if I see her green light, which means she's available, and resolve this issue. And that's how we turn collaboration into a whole different way and different philosophy. So yeah, this is really exciting, and I think we're gonna see this change the culture within teams. And this can be a small team of a few people. It can be a bigger team, and they can be in one place, or they can be dispersed in different locations. So it will handle all these situations.
Yeah, I love this feature. So those are the 5 pillars. But Pierre, are there any other advanced features that you might want to show us today?
Yeah. So let's take a look at a few more things. So first of all, I want to talk a little bit about what do you do with pending items from, let's say, yesterday. So this is a process in the mindfulness at work concept. We call it reconciliation. So at some point, which could be the beginning of the day, or the beginning of the next day, or the end of the day, you want to spend a little time looking at items that you weren't able to attend to that are still incomplete. So for instance, in the Today page, I could click on the Show More, and that will show me any outstanding items from yesterday, the day before. So any outstanding items will show up here, and I have the choice of, I might do them and check them off, or I might move them to today and make them part of today. So this is probably an exercise I would do at the beginning of the day, but after I come up with what I intend to accomplish today. So we want to capture that fresh, intuitive thinking first before we go back to the past and try to fix the past. So that's why we have this separated in that Show More button, so that our start is still fresh and is still capturing what's important first. So the same thing applies in the capture page. So you can go Show More and see what was captured yesterday that you didn't get a chance to resolve or somehow address. And then the same would go in the log. So you can go and see more in the log and and see what you did before, anything that you want to go back to, or any insights that you got from it. So this is that reconciliation feature, which makes this a pretty cohesive, comprehensive system that can really manage your intentions, your accomplishments, and keep you mindful throughout your day, but also keep you mindful in collaborating with the people around you. So let's see a few more things. What else could I mention? Oh yeah, I want to mention one that's really unique, and it's something that adds a whole new dimension to using the app, and that is tracking engagement. So you can go ahead and enable this feature, and when you enable it, um, at the end of each task, when you say you completed the task, an engagement form comes up on your screen, and you can enter, you can rank how engaged were you in this task on a scale 1 to 5, where 5 is you are highly engaged, you are passionate, you liked what you did, and down to 1 where you really were not engaged at all, etc. And then you can enter also a reflection or an insight or a lesson learned. So the reason for that is to capture this very crucial information from you at the time when you're still fresh in your mind, so that you can later look back at what you've done and what things were engaging and what things were not, what were the lessons learned and what were some of the insights you got, which can really help you tremendously as you start to think about your career and maybe what kind of projects you take on. And yeah, it's such an insightful piece of information that's typically we just miss, we don't even think about until much later, or we don't even spend time reflecting on it. So some of you may be familiar with this book called Designing Your Life. Actually, I'm curious how many of you have come across that book, Designing Your Life. If you don't mind clicking on the hand icon so we can get a quick show of hands and then see if you have come across this book. Okay, actually, I don't see anyone yet, so maybe it's new to most of you. So it's something you may want to check out. It's about how to use the design thinking process to think through what do you want to do next, or how do you want to reshape what you're doing right now to make it more interesting and more satisfying. So one of the concepts they talk about is this concept of tracking how engaged are you, any insights you're getting. And so we took this to a whole new level by making it more available as part of the work that you do instead of being an after the fact thing. So yeah, this is that tracking engagement. Now, while we're in the settings, I'm gonna talk about a couple more tactical things here, but also important for some people. I think depending on your work and how you look at time, you may be interested in this. So number one is your ability to change the time interval. So 15 is the default, and this is according to our testing and the experiences of the users who have tested the method. When we first released it a couple of years ago, 15 seems to be that sweet spot. Mm-hmm. It's short enough that it's not a big deal and you're not gonna feel like procrastinating and it's a big undertaking. So it's short enough that makes it easy to undertake, and it's long enough to allow us to do a productive, focused work and accomplish something, maybe a part of a task or a small increment on a task. So it has that nice balance. But if you feel like maybe for you it's 10 or 20 or 30, you can change it here to whatever. You can experiment. You can try the different length and then see what could work best for you. And then the other one, which takes this a step further, is the flexible time. So then now when you go to the Now page, you can actually set your time there. So you can say, for this time, for this task, I'm going to work for 45 minutes. But the next task, I may want to work just for 10 minutes. And you can set that task by task when you start a task in the Now page. So yeah, so these are intended to give you some more flexibility, so you can start to tailor some of this based on your needs. And maybe last, let's see, I might think of some more that I can talk about, but the one that just came to my mind, actually, because it was requested by one of our users. I don't know if it's someone who's on the call today. Please raise your hand if you're the one who requested this feature, because it was planned, but it wasn't going to be in this first release. But then because of the request came up, we actually decided to add it. Nice. And that is being able to add an item to the log. Because let's say you went to a meeting, let's say you want to track some of the meetings that you do, some of the brainstorming sessions you do with others, and these are not things that you can sit down and time, because the time is controlled by somebody else, or it's the location or whatever else. So you can go ahead and add that to the log, so you have a log of what you did, so your log can be more comprehensive and includes a lot of the things that you do that may not be things you time and you work on them in 15-minute increments. So yeah, that was a nice addition. And let's see if anybody rose their hands. I guess not. Okay. I thought it was Ruby, but maybe it's not Ruby. So I see Ruby is with us today. Welcome, Ruby, but maybe it was somebody else. Okay. So yeah, I think these were the features I wanted to mention. So so I think anything else, Melissa, you can think of in terms of the overall overview?
I think those are really the main. I think those are the main features, and definitely a good tour of some of the new additions. So I think that really covers it. Of course, as you're starting to explore the app yourself, Shima already shared a nice a bit of a suggestion to us. So please feel free to share your suggestions. This is a work in progress, and we want you to test this out and give us your feedback. So please do send that to us. You can have an influence on the shape of this app, and we want to make it work for you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think with that, we're ready to get into our announcements and then our Q&A. So if you have any questions, please do feel free to enter them now to the questions panel, and we will get to them. But now for just a few brief announcements. So of course, if you are already a backer, you have access to the app, and congratulations and a big thank you for your contribution, and we hope that you're exploring it. If you're not already a backer, it's really easy to get access. You just visit Hello Mindful Me. I'm going to go ahead and send you the link here now, and let me go ahead and send that to you in the chat panel. This is going to go to everyone here. I think that'll work out just fine. Perfect. Yeah, you could just click on that there. And so, yeah, you just make a pledge starting at $10 for individuals, and then starting at $50 for teams. And then you'll have immediate access to the app and all that you've seen today. So you can start exploring that and incorporating that into your workday. And yeah, and if you have any questions on that at all, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to give you my email if you have any issues with the platform or anything at all. Great. And then we also have our Mindfulness at Work workshop coming up this summer. So do check that out and reserve your seat. I'm going to go ahead and send you this link now as well, so you have easy access to this. This is going to take you to Eventbrite, and that's coming up on August 9th. And then we're also going to be having our certification workshop, so you can become certified to teach mindfulness at work at your own organization. So with that, please go ahead and email me, melissa@people-onthego.com, and I'll send you some more information. And that's taking place in September. Great, and now for our Q&A. And I'll pop in here and see if we have any questions. Yeah, our first question here, Pierre, is can I use the app on my mobile device?
So this version that we just released, this is a web app that would be used on your web browser, on your computer, on your laptop or desktop. The mobile version, the first beta of the mobile version should be out hopefully in the next maybe month or two. And then you'll be able to use the mobile version. And the way we are working on the mobile version, so they're pretty much synchronized, so you can work on the web version, but let's say your afternoon you're going to be in meeting out and about, so the mobile version, you see what you did and you can do things on the mobile version. So it's going to be a great complement for the web version, and it's going to work also stand alone, so you can use it without the web if you want to, or both. But yeah, for this one, the one we just released, this is the web version. You need your browser, you need to do it on your computer, desktop or laptop.
Okay, great. And then another question here. So on the collaboration side, do collaborators have to also subscribe to the app?
Yeah, yes, they do. So they need to subscribe to the app. And right now, if your collaborator is already part of the beta program and part of Hello Mindful Me, they already have access. So you can just ask them to, you can invite them. There's an invitation screen in the app. You can say, I want to invite you to collaborate with me. Once they accept, you start to see them as a collaborator. And then in the future, they'll be able to subscribe. Actually, right now, we even enabled that feature right now, that even right now, if you want to collaborate with someone who's not already part of the app and part of our campaign, you can send them the invite. They can go in there, register, and upgrade to the team version to be able to collaborate with you. And we made this available at a very nominal cost, just to encourage everyone to start to use that feature.
Great, thank you. And Ruby had a question here about combining the app and the journal, and also wanted to see if you have any tips or recommendations, yeah, for essentially combining them
Yeah.
to avoid duplication.
Yeah, great question, Ruby. So the app would replace, you no longer have to have your today page in the journal. You no longer to have your capture page. You no longer need to have your now page. So then you might ask, so what would be the journal for? So, so the journal would be more for note taking, for writing down free form insights, and occasionally when you don't have the app accessible, you might have the journal to be your backup as you do work when the app is not accessible for one reason or another. I think something about the writing that still has its benefit, and that could be sometimes just strategizing and sitting with an empty page and drawing, what the different aspects of this issue that you're trying to decide are. And so it's really it becomes much more about note taking, about strategizing, about adding things when being a backup when for some reason you don't have access to the app in that moment.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's great. Thank you, Ruby, for that question. And another question here. So how much does it cost to get the app? And yeah, I can take this. So as we mentioned earlier, you can get the app by joining our crowdfunding campaign at Hello Mindful Me, and I've sent you that link in the chat panel. And again, for individuals, it's only $10, and you'll have access to this upgraded version, and you'll have access to everything that we covered today, and you can just get started with that. And then for in the future, so when we launch the full version, it's likely going to be in the range of $50 to $75 a year for the pro and team versions. So that'll be for the subscription per year for those. Great, and I'll wait just a couple more moments here to see if any other questions come in. Pierre, is there anything else you might like to add?
I think we covered it for today. I just want to invite everyone to join the Mindfulness at Work movement. I think something we mentioned in some of our blog posts and some of the announcements is that we're thinking about this as being a movement,
Mm-hmm.
and the app is more a way to facilitate that, and the journal is another way to facilitate that, and the workshop is yet another way, and also the certification. So we really hope you become part of it in any way, shape, or form that works for you. And it's really the bottom of this is to create more fulfillment and less stress in the workplace. The workplace has become very hectic, too much overload, in many cases too stressful, and we want to change this, and we can. So mindfulness has been a great foundation for this work.
Definitely, most definitely. Well, thank you, Pierre, and thank you all again for joining. Once we exit today, that feedback form will pop up, and we would greatly appreciate your feedback. And of course, please feel free to reach out directly via email if you have any feedback on the app or any questions at all. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.
Bye, everybody.